Hi, I'm Dustin Mason from Performance Lexus in St. Catharines, and it is my honor to introduce to you the first ever fully electric Lexus. This is the new RZ. So looking at the new RZ, you can definitely tell it's a fully electric just by the styling that we've seen kind of industry-wide. Instead of a spindle grille with venting and things that might take away from the efficiency, we have more of a solid piano black front end with a little bit of venting towards the bottom. This is really similar to the concept, so I'm happy that it still looks as good as Lexus previewed just a few years ago. We also have a very signature headlight design with that Lexus daytime running light on top of a triple beam LED headlight. We also do have some really nice kind of styling here. It's not quite venting, but it still gives you that idea of the spindle grille that we've seen on other Lexus vehicles, just in a little bit of a shadow there, which is quite nice. This one has the two-tone paint. I don't remember the name of the color, but that's not important right now. What is important is the way that they contrast each other. So we have that nice panel black that goes all the way up to the panel roof, and then kind of this other nice metallic. Also, I noticed that we have the headlight washers here, which I don't know why that's such a feature that I love so much, but I do, so I'm happy to see that. Obviously, the other safety things like, parking sensors, and what I imagine these here are front cross traffic sensors. I'd have to research it, but that's what it looks like to me. We have a unique wheel, and when Lexus kind of mentioned the range, which is just over 200 miles on full electric mode, they mentioned that with the bigger wheel, it's just under 200 miles. So I think it's like 196 or something like that. I also really like that the fender flares are a different color. I think with the two-tone black, that's a really nice kind of touch there as well. And I see we have the charging part right here above the driver's side wheel well, which is cool. The handles look like they're very similar to what we see in the new RX and new NX. So they have the digital latch system as well as the manual way to do it underneath. Mirrors are the piano black, which again works really well with the two-tone. Overall, the silhouette flows very similar to kind of an in-between the RX and NX in my opinion. So we have kind of that panel here that is a window on the RX, but on this one it's just solid. Very nice hatchback design. And again, really similar to what I've seen other brands do in the full electric market. So looking at the back, we see some similarities to the RX and NX, like the new Lexus logo above the taillight. As I mentioned in my RX video, to me, it's kind of like Lexus is underlining that logo, which I absolutely love with the taillights. We also have a very slanted rear windshield, and on top, these two little, what I assume are kind of like wind deflectors to help with aerodynamics of bringing that airflow to the rear. And there's kind of like a little shelf here that's also painted black, which I noticed is a nice sort of touch. It is important to notice that it does have the direct 4 all-wheel drive system, and a Lexus first is steer-by-wire. So there is a package that has a yoke that we've seen, with the higher-end Tesla Plaids and stuff like that. So that'll be all new for the Lexus. I've seen a few reviews on it around the track. I know some people like having the full steering wheel. Personally, I think it's really cool to be able to offer the yoke. That could be kind of the future of things here. And it does have Lexus safety system, the 3rd version. So getting pretty close to that autonomous driving as well. Okay, so for the trunk of the RZ, we'll open it up here. Very smooth and quick, just like the new NX and RX, and a ton of space back here. We have some grocery hooks as well as just a 12-volt plug, but because there's no, big mechanical stuff back here, there is a decent amount of space, which is great. So I'm very happy with that. Now, I don't know how many RZs there are gonna be on the road in Canada. Quebec and BC will definitely get the first ones, and Lexus is going to continue to make more hybrids than full electric. The reason being is that with more hybrid vehicles on the road, they can use that same amount of materials like lithium and be able to lower sort of the emissions instead of just doing less plugins, I guess you could say. Okay, so first time ever, I'm able to get access to the inside of an RZ. I've seen one on the outside before, but this is my first time actually being allowed in it here at the auto show. So a couple of really cool first impressions that I noticed is one is this little space kind of here under the center console. I've always thought with a lot of cars that was just wasted space having it closed off like that. I think you could probably put a few things down there. Obviously nothing that you want to rattle around or move around too much, but it is a pretty cool little shelf that you can put a few things in. Also, the fit and finish is really nice. It's sort of like a matte black with a little bit of open pore wood grain to it, complemented with some piano black finishes. I noticed the shift knob is kind of like the twist style. So to the right is drive, to the left is reverse. And then there's a park button above that as well. We have the center armrest that folds both ways that we've seen in everything from the LS to the ES to the new RX and NX as well. It does look like this one has the auto park feature, which is pretty cool. I don't know if everybody would use it, but when you're in a tight spot and you want to just have the car park itself, it is super cool. Also, it has the sunroof, the panel sunroof that can turn to frost. So you can have it where it's clear and lets in lots of light, or you can press a button. It uses electronic magic to turn it into like frosted glass, which is really cool. So I'm excited to see that coming to the Lexus lineup. That was in the Toyota Venza for years past. So I'm excited to see that kind of start to come through. Also, I noticed the seating kind of has like an ultra suede Alcantara type trim to it. Actually, most of the seating area is that material. And it's also on the doors as well. So a lot of soft, comfortable materials. That'll be good, especially in a place like Canada where, you know, the leather can be really cold almost all winter until your heated seats kind of kick in. So that's really cool. The RZ also has cabin warmers. So there actually is radiant heat kind of built into the bottom of those panels where your legs go. And it's quick enough that if you were to touch it, it's not gonna burn you, but it creates heat in a much more efficient way, which is really hard to do with an electric vehicle because obviously turning heat from electricity is really hard to do without wasting, you know, range and stuff like that. So it is kind of radiant heat most of the time from underneath there. We have a nice little phone shelf here as well. And just a normal size glove box, as I mentioned. Up here, I noticed the way the top of the dash flows is very kind of focused towards the driver. So kind of like driver in control that we've seen with things like the ES, where the vents are all up here, everything faces you kind of head on, but still keeps everything looking really clean and organized. This one, it just has the regular steering wheel, but I do notice there is a sensor above the steering wheel facing the driver. What that tells me is that this car has the traffic jam assist. So that sensor is going to be watching you so that when you are in a traffic jam, you can just hit a button. The car will do the keeping you in your lane, the starting, the stopping, all of that stuff, as long as it knows that you're still not, you know, on your phone or asleep. So that's what that sensor is doing, is just making sure that you're still awake or still, it could be in control. And if it notices anything else, it'll just kick off and you have to go back to normal driving. But overall, I'm very impressed with the interior. I see this one also has Mark Levinson sound system. It's very simple yet elegant, which I like to see kind of happening throughout the lineup. And it doesn't seem overdone by any means. Luxury vehicle with a fully electric car. Okay, so sitting in the back of the RZ, also very impressive. I'm 6'1". I have the seat in front of me set up for someone that's 6'1" as well. I have lots of legroom still. And also a decent amount of height between me and that panel roof. It makes it very light and welcoming back here as well. It has a nice armrest between me and the passenger beside me. I would think this is probably really similar to the size of the RX. However, it doesn't have any hump here. The floor is very flat because of the fact that it's using the direct 4 electric all-wheel drive. There's no drive shaft going from the front of the vehicle to the back of the vehicle. So it probably has more cubic inches than an RX, for instance. So overall, very spacious. It'd be definitely good for having a couple passengers back here in an electric model. So with a range of around the 200 miles marks with around 300 horsepower, that is the new Lexus RZ, the first plug-in fully electric that Lexus has had in the lineup. Thank you for watching. I'm Justin Mason from Performance Lexus, and make sure you come check out the new RZ at the Toronto Auto Show.